Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain. And actually, Michael Keene is gone today, so Michael will not be here. A rare occurrence, just me with our guest here. I'm super pumped. We have Spottie Wifi joining us for an interview, the best and only CryptoPunk rapper alive. So, Spottie, welcome to the show.
Hell yeah. Man, so good to be here. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, we have run into each other at so many events. You are at so many events all the time, and I'm at a lot too, but I feel like you're just like you just go to all the events. So I've seen you quite a bit, and it's about time we finally bring you on. You've also we haven't had anybody come on to talk about music NFTs as well. So this is going to be a really good episode. We always like to start off by asking how you got into the Web3 space.
Okay, awesome. So I got into cryptocurrencies back in 2017, like at the very end of 2017, when the prices had gone way up the whole year. A lot of people made a lot of money that year. And I pretty much bought the top, and it was really bad experience. Didn't know what I was doing, didn't have experience with crypto or investing at all, not even stocks or anything. So immediately after I bought, like within a week or two, the prices went way, way, way down, and like historically down, like, I don't know, 70, 80%, like very rapidly. So thankfully I didn't sell. I had a friend who said, you don't lose any money until you sell. So I just held it all. And then basically during COVID, that crypto that I had held, it became my life jacket because I lost my job due to COVID. I was working a desk job, doing advertising stuff, media partnerships. And so I lost my job, and crypto became how I paid my rent, paid utilities, groceries, everything like that. And so that was over the course of 2020 that transition started to happen. And by 2021 in January, I started hearing about NBA Top Shot on Twitter. And so that's, I think something that we have in common is our love for Top Shot, or our experience with Top Shot, and that being the first NFT that I ever bought. I had heard about CryptoKitties back in the day, a couple years earlier, but I didn't take it seriously. Basically, I faded it.
Okay, so then I love that Top Shot was your first NFT. So then, when did you start making music and minting your music?
Yeah, so through Top Shot, I met a guy named Crypto Novo, who is a great friend of mine to this day. And he exposed me to the CryptoPunks. He introduced the CryptoPunks as a collection to me. And we actually started a YouTube show together where we were talking about NFTs, doing interviews with artists and collectors, and talking about Top Shot and other art NFTs and things like that.
Wait, what's the show called? I did not know about this. This is like...
Yeah, it's called NFT Stories. It's still on YouTube.
Okay, I gotta search.
You can just search NFT Stories, and the channel will come up. We had early interviews. This is like January, February of 2021. We had interviews with Justin Aversano, like one of the top NFT photographers. We had G Money on there. We had a lot of money. Rest in peace. We had Claire Silver. So we had a lot of cool interviews, and in all of those videos, Crypto Novo would use a Snapchat filter, a Snapchat lens mask. So he was embodying his CryptoPunk, and that became a big inspiration for me. And so basically very quickly after we met, I started shopping for a CryptoPunk because I had this crypto that I bought in 2017 that all of a sudden was actually worth more than I paid for it by early 2021. And so I was just thinking of it as an asset. Like, I have this crypto, it's worth something. Let me diversify. Let me go ahead and take a risk on one of these crypto punks. There was also a video that I saw Mark Cuban on YouTube saying that crypto punks are priceless. They're the rookie card of NFTs. This is all in that very quick time span, January and February 2021. So I bought my crypto punk on February 23rd of 2021. I bought him because he kind of could look like me. He wears a baseball cap. He's got medium skin tone, and he has spots on his face, which I do have freckles, but it's more about, that was more just, I wanted a rarity trait, you know, because the spots are rare. There's only 124 punks with spots, but the spots are overlooked. So it's a rare trait that nobody really wanted. And so I was seeing it as like, it's on sale, it's underpriced, it's really rare.
What did you pay for it?
So that was 27 Ethereum. At that time, that was a little over $40,000. And so that was the biggest purchase I had ever made at that time. You know, I didn't own a house. I didn't own a car. So purchased it. And then originally it was just like, okay, I'll use it in our YouTube show. I'll use it on my Twitter profile picture. And from there, I decided, okay, I'm going to make a character, just like Crypto Novo has a character. You know, I'll create a character, and that's where Spottie Wifi kind of started. I started calling him Spottie Pippin, then Spottie Wifi, and it's like, I'm not an animator, I'm not a comic book writer, but I can write raps. I rap, so let me make my CryptoPunk character, you know, the CryptoPunk rapper. That was the idea, and put out the first song in April 16th. That song is called I'm Spottie. It was actually just the 2-year anniversary recently. Put out that song the day before the first Bored Ape Yacht Club tweet. Like, that's how early it was. Nobody was really, it was just Crypto Novo and me and a little bit G Money. Like, G Money, we literally, Novo gave him his Snapchat lens that he's used, you know, his whole time on our show. Like, that episode, you can go watch that on YouTube. So anyways, just to say all that, it was embraced. The CryptoPunk community enjoyed it, you know, shared it and everything. And I just kept going. And by August is when we did the NFT drop for the album.
Dang. Yeah. And I'm Spottie. That's one of my favorite songs. Let me see. I'm Spottie. I got lots of spots. Your girl gonna come connect the dots.
I'm Spottie. You know? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fun. You know, it was like we wanted to use humor because we felt like we can't take ourselves too seriously. It's a cartoon rapper. And the fun of that year was it's really hard to even, if you weren't there, it's like you had to be there, because being totally undoxed was really fun too. It was just this character that just came out of nowhere, you know, and that we had animated music videos, you know, little 8-bit Spottie running around, or different artists would interpret him differently. We did the first Spottie performance was a metaverse performance in the Decentraland Riverboat Casino that was built by the Bored Ape Yacht Club. You know, that was the official after party to celebrate the first ever Bored Ape Yacht Club auction at Sotheby's. So that whole run from like February, March, April through September, October was totally undoxed and just this crazy character, you know, Spottie Wifi.
Dang. Okay. So when did you decide to dox? I mean, obviously now you have music videos. I was just watching music videos. Like, you're in them. I mean, you're very much out there. Like, people recognize you. When you go to events, you like spray paint your head. I don't know if it's spray paint or what, but you like spray paint your head with like all the spots, like cheetah gang, because you have your cheetah gang ape, and everyone just recognizes you now. But when did you decide to dox, and why did you decide to dox?
So I really was resistant to doxing for a lot of reasons, but a couple things. When we set up the NFT drop, or the launch of my NFT album, that was August of 2021. I was super strong in my opinion. I wanted to make sure I had an LLC. You know, I didn't want to have anything be any loose ends. So we had an LLC. We chose to do the LLC in Illinois because that's where my partner, producer Stefan, is based, and that's where my music attorney that I really have a good history with is also in Illinois. And to do it in Illinois, I had to dox, you know, so that was one reason. If I had thought about it a little more, I might've done it somewhere right after dox, but it ended up being a good thing because there's a really popular rap blog called Pigeons and Planes, which is owned by Complex. And they approached me because they wanted to do a story, because what happened was the album launch was so successful, it sold out immediately. And it generated $200,000 or $192,000 in revenue immediately. in under 60 seconds. Okay. Or at that time, that was 60 Ethereum. It also did 100 ETH in secondary sales in the first 7 hours. And I got a 10% royalty on that. So that's another 10 ETH, in the first 7 hours. So basically I ended up generating more revenue than I would have received as an artist in the US if I had a song or an album with 50 or 60 million streams on Spotify. That's how unrewarding the current model, the streaming model, is for artists. I would need tens and tens of millions of streams to earn that kind of revenue from Spotify, but I was able to go directly to the people that loved Spottie. And so Complex approached me. They wanted to do a story, but they wanted to tell my full story. They wanted to tell the story about how I went from working a desk job. And even before that, I was an artist. I used to do music full time before I got into advertising like a decade ago. They wanted to tell that whole story of the artist who struggled in Web 2, but found something in Web 3. And in order to do that, I had to dox. So I just saw that as too big of an opportunity. And in retrospect, it was absolutely the right decision because a lot of people saw that story. Like a lot of people, especially in music, they saw that. Like, I guarantee you, any major record label that was like in their people's Slack or in their newsletter or whatever, like they had to know about that.
Jeez.
And I've had a lot of people with like amazing resumes in traditional music who told me they entered Web3 because they saw that article. And then right after that was NFT NYC, and that was dope too because I got to go to NFT NYC and like actually perform and be out in public, which was cool.
Yeah, you do a lot of performances. You perform a lot of these events. Like I said, I've seen you performing at a lot of stuff. And I mean, most recently I saw you at Miami NFT Week. And, I have some friends that don't go to events at all. And they're just kind of like stuck in the Twitter sphere of things. And it's like everything's kind of, a lot of things are very negative on the timeline. And I would love to hear you speak about like why you love going to events so much and why events are so important for people in the NFT space to attend.
Well, for me, it's a huge opportunity because I'm a musician. So all of these events usually have satellite events and parties or after parties. All of these events usually have panel discussions where they want to talk about music or entertainment or IP. So for me, it's like an opportunity I can't pass up because it's another revenue stream for me in terms of, especially as a performer, more so like the after party scene and things like that. And it's a huge networking opportunity. I've had so many good things come out of different things. Like, I have a new song right now, a new music video out with Jim Jones. And I met Jim Jones at NFTLA in 2022. We sat next to each other on a panel discussion. That's how we met. I would not, very unlikely I would know Jim Jones if it wasn't for that conference, and a lot of other stories like that, either at the conference or at some other thing that was happening during the conference. And I just think that, especially in a bear market now, like the people that are there, you have pretty high quality conversations because there's a lot fewer fly by night people that are just, they bought a $600 ticket or whatever so that they can figure out, how they can set up their quick cash grab or whatever, or extract something from the market. Right now, I feel like if you go to these things, first off, there's so much value in the satellite events. There's often a lot of value in the satellite events to where don't let the ticket price to the quote unquote official thing intimidate you, because you could just go, if you can find a place to crash, you'll have a great time and meet a lot of people and have great conversations, even if you aren't going to the main event, quote unquote. But yeah, it's good, man. And you got to like, look, it's the digital world. I'm bullish on the metaverse, but so much, you can accelerate a conversation so much more quickly if you have that face to face. Even our conversation right now, I'm very comfortable talking to you just because we've felt each other's vibe and just energy IRL. So it's like, yes, we're going to have a good time. So I think that's the same thing with business, or with negotiation. Just trust comes at a much faster pace when you actually get to spend time together.
That's so true. And there's something special about like being like in actual physical proximity of someone's like energy. Like you can feel their energy. Like it is so much different than online. Do you remember when we were supposed to have we got a panel canceled on us? We were supposed to have a panel at the Gutter Cat Gang party in Miami like a year ago. And I feel like that kind of bonded us a little bit because we both showed up. We're like, what's happening? Aren't we supposed to be on a panel? And then it was like, oh, canceled last minute. But you know, hey, it happens. It happens. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I do remember that. It was funny. That turned out to be a great event. That part wasn't awesome, but a lot of these events, like it's like crazy sometimes how disorganized some of these things can be when you know how much money is flowing through these events.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the other thing I want to say is like, it's crazy to me. It's mind boggling to me. And I'm not just criticizing, like I'm going to be bringing some things to the community to propose some solutions, but it's crazy how when it comes to live events and shockingly metaverse events, they will budget for every single thing except the artists and the talent that are expected to come show up year after year, quarter after quarter, and work for free. You know, in a bear market, the people that come and like set up the sound and the stage and the lighting and everything, they don't come and do it for free because it's a bear market, you know? And this is Web3, and the people that we expect to do everything for free is the artists. And that to me is crazy. And you see a lot of even like DAOs and stuff and groups giving out money for different things. And this will be like commonplace where there's going to be an event or there's going to be a concert or whatever. And we've budgeted for everything down to the gwei or down to the penny. But we have no line item for any of the talent that we're just going to expect to come out here for exposure. Anyways, I'm off my soapbox, but that's the thing that I'm very passionate about this year is raising this issue.
That is a really big issue. And yeah, it's like, oh, you're getting paid in attention. You know, attention is the currency, right? And you're so right. Like, well, what about the people setting everything up? They're not being paid in attention. They're just, they're doing it for actual money. Like, yeah, people should be compensated. That is a big thing for events. And I know when I was big into the entrepreneur scene, that was a big thing too for speakers and stuff. Like, I mean, events in general, I think a lot of times, yeah, they don't pay the people that speak or perform or anything. It's just like, oh, attention, that's your payment.
Right.
Yeah.
In reality, and it's the same thing with like NFT platforms too. It's like in reality, they need us a lot more than we.
That's
need
true.
them.
What if we need to go on strike?
I mean, I just think I think it's going to shift. It's especially tough in a bear market, and I get that. I don't envy anybody that's planning live events, to promote Web3 right now. Like that's not an envious, and I do it sometimes. I've tried to do it very recently. It's just tough. It's tough to get sponsors right now. So I don't envy anybody in those positions, but I also feel like we got to speak up for ourselves because nobody else is going to speak up for the artists, it seems.
Yep, that's true. How did you get to know Snoop Dogg? Because so in your song, The King's Alpha, there's a sound bit of Snoop saying like, Spottie's the number one guy. He's the top dog, like really just speaking very highly of you. And yeah, I would just love to hear the story on how you got to know Snoop.
So right shortly after I sold my first album as an NFT and it was in Complex, made some waves. It caught the attention of Snoop's son in particular, his son Cordell, who a lot of people might know as Champ Medici, especially in the Web3 community. And so he DM'd me one night and he sent me a screenshot that he had purchased my NFT. And this was probably like the end of the year, 2021, maybe the very start of 2022. And so we started DMing, we started talking, and he was just kind of like, asking me, picking my brain a little bit, like, how do you sustain demand for your NFTs? Like your NFTs are over 100 ETH in secondary sales, in a very quick amount of time. How do you do that? How do you, what is my strategy and things like that? So I ended up flying out to LA the week of the Super Bowl to like chop it up with him and his team, meet the Death Row people, and work on some music with some of the Death Row artists. And so that led to Snoop getting into music NFTs, and we did some music together. with me and some of his other artists and Champ. And I met him very, very briefly that week while I was there. We went to his album release party because this was the week of the Super Bowl. So he had like Super Bowl rehearsals. He literally had he had just acquired Death Row Records, which he now owns. He had his album launch for his new album Back on Death Row. And he had an album release party at the compound that he owns. And that's where I met him super briefly. And a few weeks later, they put out a mixtape. I was on the mixtape. I had like 3 songs on there, which was amazing. And then a few weeks after that, we were all on a Twitter space together. I saw Champ and Snoop and Wiz, Khalifa, and some other people on a Twitter space. And so I hopped on stage, and it was like Snoop and I were meeting for the first time because we didn't really get to talk for very long when we met in person. And that's when he kind of like gave me all these flowers and said all these really great things about how I had inspired him. And thankfully, you know, it was a recorded space and I was able to like share the video and a lot of people saw that and maybe that was their first time hearing about me. So that was really cool. And then figuring out like my album, I had this song that I know it was going to be the intro to the album. It had that vibe where this is going to be the first song on the album. And I'm telling kind of the story of the last year and a half and everything that's happened. And I didn't have a chorus where I didn't have a hook. And then it had always kind of been in my mind, like maybe I take that clip and put it on a song. And so I tried it and I really liked the way it turned out. I sent it to Snoop and to Champ and they loved it, you know, so they gave me the thumbs up and, you know, helped me promote it and everything. And yeah, so it's like I really don't know Snoop that well, you know. We've had these interactions, and he's given me a lot of flowers and credited me, and he's gone on to do some amazing things in music NFTs. Like that album, Back on Death Row, it sold as a music NFT on Gala Music for like it sold $44 million worth of NFTs in 1 week. You know, I think my personal opinion is that could have been as big a story as Beeple's $69 million sale the year before, but it just happened to be the week of the Super Bowl. That's just my personal theory, is that because it was the week of the Super Bowl, there's just so much going on, and Snoop was at the center of so much going on with the Super Bowl in LA and him performing, that it was just like another crazy thing that was going on that week.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. That's super cool. Yeah. When I heard, I was like, wait, what? He has a song featuring Snoop. And then I was listening to it. I'm like, oh my God, this is dope. And I do actually remember when that Spaces happened, because I remember seeing or hearing clips on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, I think that's from that one Spaces. But okay, so I'm kind of curious, who else what are some other, I know you're the best and only CryptoPunk rapper alive, but what are some other rappers or musical artists that you look up to in Web3, like Web3 native?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is I'm super excited about what Blau and Steve Aoki are doing. They have a new project, a joint project called Punks, Punx, where they're making music, and they're each using one of their CryptoPunks as the face of the music. So it's these two CryptoPunks, Steve Aoki and Blau doing that. So I'm super excited about that. I would say I'm excited about anybody that's doing anything with their Bored Apes, like Kingship. I would say I'm super excited about Vega Genesis. He's doing some dope stuff with his CloneX, and especially doing a lot with like 3D modeling and animations and VR, stuff like that. But there's a lot. There's like too many to name. I'm a big Violetta Zeroni fan. She's amazing. I love Josh Savage. Illida Producer's doing some stuff with one of his mutants, which is really, really dope. He calls the mutant Sketchy. That's the name of the mutant artist. Man, it's hard. It's hard because once I start naming people, I know I'm going to leave somebody out. Bart Oatmeal. Bart Oatmeal is on my album. He's the metaverse identity of legendary basketball player Baron Davis. So I met him at a party during NFTLA in 2022 also, and we become good friends. We performed together at Gramercy Theater a week or two ago during NFT NYC. So shout out to Bart Oatmeal, the legend Bart Oatmeal, I should say. And there's just so many more though. It's just crazy. It's really like there's so many artists getting into Web3. I have an artist named Psalm One on my album she's a super dope MC out of Chicago, and I'm excited for people to hear her on the album. So it's really amazing to see how it's come along. There's an artist named West Ghost. West Ghost he's in the Kid Called Beast community, and they've been supporting NFT musicians in a really dope way. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening right now.
Jeez, that's a lot of people I gotta look up later.
Absolutely. Please look up all these artists. They're all dope for sure.
You had Archik on a song too. What about Archik?
Yeah, I don't know if Archik is, I think she may be semi-retired from music right now, but
One hit wonder. She just came on with you and then she's like, all right, that's enough.
I mean, it's possible. But yeah, shout out to Archik, of course. Yeah, that was a big deal for me, in that moment when that came out. That song came out like 3 days before my NFT launch. And I don't know how much credit to give that song, but we definitely it was like we put that song out on a Monday, and I think the NFT drop was on the Wednesday or maybe the Thursday. And we saw so much interest and momentum build up in those few days leading up to the project selling out. It was really crazy. And sometimes I wonder how much credit to give that song. Yeah.
That's interesting. Talk to us about your album you got coming out. You got the King's Alpha album coming out April 28th, which will be, so we'll put this out on the 27th so that the day after this comes out, your album will be released.
Love it. Hell yeah. So yeah, the album comes out on Friday. It's called The King's Alpha. So my first album, I've talked a lot about my first album from 2021. That was a really nerdy concept album about this CryptoPunk rapper. And it's all set in the metaverse. So it's him telling about his life and times in the metaverse. This album is an extension of that, where Spottie has one foot in the metaverse. He has songs with Bart Oatmeal. He has songs with Gold Gorilla, his Bored Ape hype man. But then he also is taking a step into the real world, into the meatverse. And so we have Snoop Dogg on the intro. We have Bun B on the album, Jim Jones. We have a song mixed by Timbaland. We have Alan Kingdom, Psalm One, a bunch of dope, real world artists that are also participants in Web3 and doing cool things in Web3. So I'm super excited. When I said it a year and a half ago that I was going to do a collab album and I was going to use music to build bridges between Web 2 and Web 3. I said Grammy-winning artists, multi-platinum artists, they're going to come to the metaverse. I'm going to be there to greet them. And a lot of things happened a lot faster than I thought would happen. But this album actually, I wanted to put it out last year. So it's been a lot of work. It's taken a little longer than I hoped for, but I'm super excited for everybody to hear it. It comes out on Friday. That is April 28th. You don't need an NFT to listen to it. It'll be on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, Tidal, YouTube, everywhere you can listen to music, you'll be able to find it. So check it out, Spottie Wifi, The King's Alpha. And I do have NFTs available that you can check out at spottiewifi.io. If you collect 5 NFTs from this album, of 5 of the different songs, then I will have a vinyl record that I'm pressing that will be available for people to claim. You'll just pay the shipping and handling as long as you have NFTs, Ethereum NFTs for 5 of the songs from the album.
Okay, so you are minting these songs individually?
Not all of them, but the singles, yeah. So we have the All-Time High NFT featuring Bun B. We have the Full Set NFT, which is produced by Illa the Producer. We have the Drink Ain't Free NFT. That's the song featuring Alan Kingdom and Alec King, mixed by Timbaland in Timbaland. And then soon we're going to have the Buy the Dips featuring Jim Jones NFT and the Believers featuring Bart Oatmeal NFT. That was a mouthful, but basically there's a lot of there's also a King's Alpha NFT. Some are more rare than others, but you just need 5 different songs. If you have 5 different songs from this album, the Ethereum NFTs from them, then there'll be a vinyl record waiting for you. Okay.
So this album is comprised of songs that you've also already released as singles?
Yep, exactly. Okay, the most recent single we just put out, the music video a couple days ago, that song, or last week, that song is Buy the Dips featuring Jim Jones. And even after the album comes out, I have another music video I'm going to put out for a song called Do You Get It, featuring DJ Malski, who's become a really close collaborator of mine. So yeah, the album is basically available for everyone to listen to in full starting Friday. We're still going to have more content coming out. And then I got a whole nother album for the summer where I'm going to start dropping singles from that right after this. So it's going to be a lot. And I have a comic book just like this album. The comic book took a little longer than I planned, but it's finally ready. And it tells the lore and it shows you visually how Spottie went from the metaverse to the real world. So we're building out the Spottie-verse, and the music is just the beginning.
I love that. That is so exciting. Yeah, Spottie Wi-Fi on Spotify, folks, as well. If you just want to jam out, good workout music, whatever.
Absolutely. And a follow on Spotify or a follow on wherever you listen to music or subscribe on YouTube. That is super helpful right now. Super, super helpful, because I got a lot of music I'm going to be putting out this year. So I want to make sure people hear it and that they know when it's coming out.
Yes, I love that. So By the Dips, yeah, that's the one you're talking about, the music video you released recently featuring Jim Jones. Are you buying the dip right now? What's happening in this bear market? What have you been up to as far as collecting NFTs or holding or selling, whatever? Like, what have you been doing?
I have collected very few NFTs recently. I bought a Nakamigo recently because it just felt like if Spottie was the Nakamigo, would be him. He had the lumberjack, kind of Biggie Smalls shirt with the gold chain, and then he had a baseball cap. What else? I'm always shopping for ENS domains. I'm seldom buying. I don't know. I like to go on ENS Vision and just kind of like window shop. But what I have gotten into is this crazy Pepe craze in the past week and a half or 2 weeks. I got into Pepe pretty early, after about 2 days after it had been created. It was a Sunday night. And then I bought a dip later that week, and just been enjoying that. I weathed a few NFTs to jump in. I accepted a few WETH offers, put some of that cash to the side for taxes and for some other whatever savings or play money. And then got into Pepe, and I'm just having a blast, having a blast. We've been doing spaces, playing a lot of music, having a lot of artists come out, making Pepe inspired art or music or poetry or whatever, which sounds crazy, but it's been super fun. And so just doing that and using it as an opportunity for education. I mean, I literally have the song By the Dips, so using it to like educate and remind people, like, all of these things, NFTs, meme coins, they're all very risky, and I don't encourage people to play with money that they can't afford to lose, or money that they need for their shelter or their car or their groceries or whatever. And remind people, if you have some money that you can afford to lose, have a plan, work the plan, buy the dips. Don't buy it when you're FOMOing and emotional because the price is at an all-time high and it's mooning. That's when you should take some profits and not be emotionally attached to your bags, especially if you're talking about cryptocurrencies. So anyways, that's what I've been in and been doing. And it's been fun, making a lot of good connections in a time when the market has been, like you were saying earlier, a little not just down, but also just negative in terms of vibes, so it's good to have something fresh going on.
What's next for you as far as NFT events? What's the next thing you're going, or the next couple? I don't know how many things you got lined up, but
well, right now I got a lot of tentatives, a lot of possible things that aren't confirmed yet. Several of them are international, so it would be really dope. Yeah, it would be really dope if they happen. Like, there's stuff going on in Europe soon, in Lisbon. There's stuff going on in Brazil soon. But I'm also like, it's been a lot of conferences. So if they don't necessarily pan out, I'm like, I got plenty else that I can do with my time and work on, and I'm getting ready to move. Spottie Wifi and I are moving back to New York City in June. So our summer is going to be pretty busy no matter what's going on. And everything is still TBD in terms of upcoming schedule. So I'll be posting about my schedule on Twitter and Instagram once I have more info. But for now, I've been also, before I got really on the Pepe train, I was spending a lot of time in Decentraland. That's been really fun too. Going to events. There's a lot of concerts, DJs spinning all the time in Decentraland. And it's really fun. They had Fashion Week, Metaverse Fashion Week a few weeks ago. And I had a performance at the opening party and stuff like that. So if I don't see you anytime soon, IRL, I will definitely see you in the metaverse.
See you in the metaverse. Yes. Yeah. And you just mentioned Spottie Wifi, your wife, who, man, I feel like she is so supportive. Every time I see you, I see her. She's always there. She's always supporting you. She's like recording you, like vibing out, like when you're performing. And I guess how important has that been to have just like that support system? And what has it been like for her, this whole journey, just being, everything going on? And I know she's doing a lot too. She was speaking at Miami NFT Week, and, she's into healthcare and everything. I know she has her whole thing going on. But yeah, what has that been like?
Well, first off, she's amazing. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. If you can imagine, like when I bought my CryptoPunk, I was pretty much between jobs. I was freelancing here and there, but it wasn't steady work. And she just believed in me. A lot of people would have looked at me like I was absolutely crazy. Like, what are you doing? You're buying a CryptoPunk for $40,000. You don't even have a job. But she's always seen the best in me and just believed in me. So that's incredible. And just keeping my head on straight, making sure I'm like catching my flights, making sure I'm packing socks and underwear. You know what I mean? Just like making sure I have my head on straight. So, and then what's amazing is like to see her not only be coming to events to support me, but finding her own interest and her own lane and niche in Web3. And so, yeah, like you mentioned, she's in healthcare. She's a physician. She's been on the front line working with patients for 13 years. She's an OBGYN. And she sees a lot of flaws in the system. And she's seen and educating on a lot of ways that Web3 could help improve the system. So like things like, if you remember in COVID, they were trying to move a lot of doctors and nurses around, have people be able to practice in other places where there were deficits. And if you're not licensed in a certain state, you can't just pull up and like start, doing stuff necessarily. And so putting accreditations, certificates, diplomas, degrees, board exam results, things like that on chain in an encrypted way could be really powerful. That we all understand that probably, hopefully, because it's something that can apply to your driver's license or your social security card, things like that could go on chain. But then the thing that blew my mind is thinking about patient data. Like, I feel like everybody has a story where you or someone or love has gone to 3 different doctors about something, and you're waiting on the first 2 doctors to send results from this or that, or an x-ray or a lab, or whatever it is. We understand that there's friction there, and it takes time, and sometimes it takes money, and you got to pay somebody to send your data. Like, what is more personal than your medical data? Why shouldn't you have ownership and agency over that? And why can't it be encrypted just like anything else? And there's a lot of middlemen that get paid as a result of that friction. So it's an uphill climb, but she's been really passionate about it and speaking about it and translating between like doctors and degens, which has been really inspiring to see.
Doctors and degens. I love that. That's funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. That's what we need. Like bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3.
Absolutely. And I think we need more positive use cases, because if you go and talk to anybody that's outside of our bubble, very, very often the first thing they're going to say about crypto or NFTs or Web3 is they're going to ask you about FTX, and SBF. And it's all negative perception that they have, but if we start hearing about actual use cases that are relatable to everybody, not just degens, that want to gamble on their phone, then I think it's going to help us all.
100%. Does she ever get mad at you for your tweets? Because I know you tweet some controversial things sometimes. She ever like, really, you really have to go and tweet that?
No.
Okay. And why do you tweet in all caps? I need to know the answer. I remember when I first found out about you on Twitter, I was like, who is this guy? Why is he always tweeting in all caps? Like, and then I think I asked you and you're just like, why not? And I'm like, what?
Well,
So we need the real answer here. Why do you tweet in all caps?
well, okay. So I was inspired by a friend and other rapper from Chicago named Show You Suck. So Show You Suck is a really good follow on Twitter and really bright personality and fun dude. And he has always tweeted in all caps. And I just thought it was really funny because he would tweet about like, he'd have like mixtapes about like pizza and food and stuff, and it would just be really fun and funny and also dope. But he'd be tweeting about, his slice of pizza that day in all caps. And it was just really funny that somebody, because you hear them yelling about something that's not super, necessarily something you would expect them to be yelling about. So that was what I drew inspiration from. And then I started doing it when there was like a Twitter contest of like, they did 13 weeks of voting who's the top crypto punk. This was during 2021. And so all the other crypto punks, I don't think they really cared. Some kind of cared, like Beanie would and Art Chick would post about like, who are these people like on the list until they got on the list. And I was like a really small fry compared to all the other crypto punks, but I started campaigning and I was already, so I won 1 week. I won 1 week after heavy campaigning. That's when I started votespottie.com, which I still use for random votes when I need votes. And anyways, I started campaigning and I won for 1 week. And that's when I said, okay, I've been elected the president of the CryptoPunks. Then I won again, another week. So I had two wins. But when I won the third week, I think I won the third and final week to have the most weeks that anybody won. And I said, obviously, a president can't be elected 3 times. So the people have decided I have graduated and I've promoted to now being the king of the CryptoPunks. And as the king, it's not like I can just be out here in lowercase talking to the people. I need to make sure that the people hear me when I have, an announcement or a proclamation or whatever it may be. So that's all it is.
That's funny. And that's so fitting too with the album, The King's Alpha. And you're always being like, this is the King's Alpha, like, and then you say something. So yeah, very fitting. Before we wrap this up and finish it off, first of all, any final thoughts, any final things you want to say? Yeah. And then I guess I have a little request.
Absolutely. I'll say as final thoughts, just shout out to all my supporters, everybody listening to my music, or just showing support in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate you so much and how much we've been able to accomplish together. Cause like really, Snoop Dogg and Bun B and Jim Jones and these guys, like, it's not like they think I'm the best rapper alive and they have to have a song with me because I'm about to blow up. It's that they see the love that I receive from the community and the support I receive from the community. So thank you all. And other than that, the King's Alpha drops Friday, April 28th. It'll be everywhere. Anywhere you can search for music, you'll be able to find it. And I appreciate you.
Yes, the King's Alpha, Spottie Wifi. I'll be like, Alexa, play the King's Alpha. We definitely turning up to that. Thank you so much for coming on. I swear, this has truly been a long time coming because, like I said, I've met you so many times and it's about time we finally bring you on the show. So pumped about it. We've talked about you a lot. Like, we seriously do talk about you a lot on the show. So it's just an honor to finally have you here and to be able to chat it up with you, hear your story and everything. I'm wondering if you could take us out by giving us a little rap from the King's Alpha, give us a little something.
Yeah, let me see. Also, I'm going to do something from this song that I have with Psalm 1.
Ooh, okay.
The song is called 101. And I kind of want to pull up the lyrics because it's a deep cut. It's not a single.
Ooh, all right. Let's do this.
It's the originator, innovator, big threat to a lot of you haters. My style's greater, plenty paper, 7-figure JPEG trader. My resume been authenticated. Man, I'm what they've been afraid of. Solo Fadolo, I've been independent. That's why they don't celebrate it when I'm winning. And I'm not being cocky, but I know they can't stop me. I told you I'm Spottie. NFT Mr. Miyagi, the blue chip. Last name Pip, I drew you the blueprint. These rappers can't fit in my shoe prints or even afford my 2 cents. The underground digital, crypto pivotal, home court advantage, but I'm so hospitable. Now listen up, it's the king of punks, 20 gigs a month getting hella checks. My coaching tree in Web3 been starting to look like Belichick's. I'm OG, they sophomore. I'm bricked up, they softcore. Who want war? My encore, the LeBron Jordan of onboard. Now why would you aim for the king? You know you ain't ready to bust. My wallet belong in the Louvre. Your wallet been looking like dust. I'm out of your budget, no need for discussion, but fuck it, I'm telling you once more. It's Spottie Wifi, I'm a 101 on blockchain. Mount Rushmore, real shit. Let's go.
Damn, that goes hard. All right. And with that, we're out, folks. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.